Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. We're going to get started very shortly. So just waiting for a few more people to come in. While we wait for them to come in, we'll just explain about what we're here talking about today. So today is the top 15 Microsoft Windows keyboard shortcuts to help boost your productivity. So we're going to go through some of those in about 10 minutes. There's 15 of them. So we'll breeze through those and then we'll jump into some Q&A or QA. There is a button there that has Q&A in the Teams meeting or the webinar. So if you have any questions, please use that button and pop your questions in there and we'll go through those at the end. All right, let's start off now. So we're going to start off here with the first one, and I'm going to look over at my screen here, which I'm sharing. So tip number one is using Windows plus D to minimize windows. So I'm just going to go ahead and we've got the split screen here that shows the process with the keyboard in the bottom right, and you can see what happens on the screen when you use the Windows D. So it pops everything down, and then if you use Windows D again straight after, it'll bring them back. So if you need to get something quickly off the desktop, that makes it a lot quicker to do. The next one we're going to go into is the Windows button and E to open File Explorer. So if you need to get to your files very quickly, Windows and E will pop open the Windows Explorer button very quickly, and it allows you to go through and find your files. The next one is really important with the way security is nowadays. It's just locking the computer when you're walking away. So for this one, we've got it on a tablet, so you can see how it works and be very practical. So Windows and L together as you walk away can be very important to make sure that people can't get access to your device while you're away. Tip number 4. This one's really handy if you have multiple monitors and you don't know where your mouse cursor's gone. So what will happen is if you can double tap Control on the keyboard, it'll show you by highlighting around the mouse that brightened where your cursor is, and if you hit Control again, it will release that. So that's very handy if you need to find your mouse. The next one is using Alt F4 to close the active window. So wherever you happen to be selected at the time, so in this case it'd be the Word doc, if you did Alt and F4 together, it'll close down that window. So I use that quite a bit when I'm closing down at the end of the day. Alt F4 for just until it gets down to no apps to clear out everything before closing down. Into tip number 6, so this is using the Windows key and the arrows on the keyboard to help shift the windows around and try to organize them. So you can see holding the arrow, the Windows button there, and then using the arrows. So the left and the right moves it left and right, and then the up and the down moves it into the quarters on the up and down. So that can be a handy shortcut just for organizing the windows and snapping them into the different quadrants of the screen. Tip number 7 is got a few components to it. So being able to copy, cut, paste, undo, and redo are quite handy. So you might see here from the keyboard shortcuts that we're going to go through that they all start with the Control key. You got Control C, so that's going to copy it. Control V to paste it down below there. That's going to create another copy, and you can do that with text or documents. The next one is a cut, which is a move. So you can see it's removed it from where it was and it's put it down where we've pasted it with the Control V. Do something incorrect, you can always use Control Z to undo whatever you do, and that can happen both with text and editing here. It can do it with file moves, it can do it in different parts. So have a play around with that one. And Control Y is the opposite of the undo, it's the redo. So if you want to redo steps, if you Control Z too much and you need to go back one, Control Y is the way to go. Tip number 8, we don't have to use Task Manager as often as we used to when we needed to kill apps, but sometimes we do. So 1, 2 forward. So using Control, Shift, and Escape together will open up Task Manager. So that will allow you to close down apps. But there's also the ability to control what starts up on your computer when it boots up in here. So you can go into the startup icon here on the left side and choose disable if you don't want things popping up when you're starting up. So tip number 9 is handy for zoom control. So this is the mouse and the control key together. So holding the control key and scrolling up will zoom in on the page you're in, or doing the mouse wheel down will zoom you back out. So, and then this can be useful when you're doing documents. It can apply when you're reading emails and you need to zoom in on something, or even on web pages. So try that with the different documents, PDFs as well. But that can be quite handy rather than sort of coming down to the bottom here and clicking on plus, and so forth. Tip number 10 allows you to select some files and to bulk rename them. So I've got some files here. It doesn't matter how you select them. So you can select them all with the drag of the mouse like I did there, or you can use Control A, which will select all items in that active window. Or if you want to do a select few, you can also do hold the control key and click on the different distinct files that you want to rename. But once you've got them selected, you can use the F2 key and then you can type a name and you can see that it's going to name them that name. And then with the brackets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to how many files you've got. So handy for bulk renaming of files. Tip number 11 is opening recently closed tabs. So you can see here on the page, we've got a web browser. So it's Edge, Edge or Chrome, Firefox, all works. So accidentally closed this tab here. I actually wanted to have that. So Control, Shift and T will open the recently closed tab. So very handy if you accidentally close your browser window as well. It'll open all the tabs that were open. So keep that one in mind in case you accidentally close down. The next one is of similar vein. So this is Control, Shift and N. Tip number 12, to open incognito mode. If you need to use an in private or an incognito browser, it's really handy just to be able to open that up and do what you need to do in that in private browser. Next one is screen snipping. So if you ever need to share what's happening on your screen with IT support or a colleague or something like that, the inbuilt screen snipping tool is quite handy, and you access that by using the Windows key, Shift and S, and you'll see that it pops out, changes the cursor, and you can see that I'm just going to drag down in the middle of the screen and select what I wanted to snip. And it'll then go, okay, that's great. It's now on the clipboard and you can paste it where you need to go. So very handy to be able to share a screenshot of something that's happening on your screen. And that's built into Windows 11 and I think it's also on Windows 10, but you can also use third-party tools such as Greenshot or Snagit and so forth. Tip number 14, as we're breezing through these, is using a wireless display. So Windows and K together will bring out the dialog on the right, and it will show you any casting displays that are detected where you are. So if you need to share your screen onto a projector or a TV, that's the easiest way that you can go ahead and do that casting. And lucky number last is number 15. So using Windows search to find apps. So gone are the days where you would generally organize your start menu so you can find everything. More often nowadays, you'll just be searching for the apps that you need. So popping out the start menu there and just typing in the name of the app, you can see the different apps are showing up quite quickly. So you don't really need to be pinning things to there, generally speaking. You can just start typing in the name of what you're looking for. When you're looking for, you can also use that with Windows 11 to search for documents and keywords, and the way that everything integrates with Microsoft 365, it can be quite powerful for accessing all that resource. So that's all we have. They're the 15 tips that we have for keyboard shortcuts to boost your productivity. Now we're going to just check on the Q&A to see if anybody's sent across any questions. So let's just check that out quickly. I'll just give people a few moments to post their questions, any questions, or if anybody's got any shortcuts that they're aware of that are also quite useful in their day-to-day productivity, please pop them in there. Right, brilliant. So first question, do the shortcuts work everywhere or only in some apps? So it can vary. So ones like Control for copy and paste and so forth are generally quite ubiquitous across Word documents and web pages and file management in different things. So those are generally available everywhere. Most of them will work on the current Windows operating systems. So I'd encourage you to give it a go if you're unsure, but most of the case they work everywhere and in different apps. Okay, let's see what else have we got coming in here. New posts. Control Shift A is was noted, so let's just slide back to that one, which I think was the rename one. So I'm not sure we actually demoed it in that one there, but we used the highlight with the mouse drag, but it achieves the same thing. If you're active in this window and you do Control A, it will select all items in that window. So does it do it again? Yeah, it does do it again. So that will show that up there. And again, that can work inside a document. If you do Control A, it'll select all the text in the document and so forth. So, and another one was a tip was in the snipping tool, recommend turning on automatic save so you don't lose the snaps. That's a great tip. You can obviously be moving quite fast with some of these things, so definitely have a look at the settings and make sure they're tuned to your preferences. And that's a good tip of getting them to save automatically. So brilliant. Control Shift T as well for new tabs in the web browser. That's a handy one if you do need to pop out a new browser. Control Shift T is quite helpful. Okay, what are the potential drawbacks or things to be cautious about when using these shortcuts? I think sometimes we can be working quite quickly and sometimes our fingers can go a bit faster than the brain. So just being careful that you're comfortable with what you're actually doing and you don't incorrectly trigger a command that you want to do. So I think practicing and incorporating it gradually in your workflow is a good way to go, rather than just jumping in and trying to do everything all at once. So, and can we recommend any tools or resources to further explore keyboard shortcuts? So on the page on our website for this webinar, there will be a list of these 15 tips in text form. So you can go there and get those if you wanted to have an easy access copy. But otherwise, there's lots of websites. There's obviously official support pages from Microsoft, but they can be quite dense for what they have and not cut through to what we need or what we're looking for. Tutorials on YouTube are always good, and there is a training application called KeyRocket that we are aware of that does have some hands-on learning experiences. So worth checking those out if you want some more detail. So that is quite useful. I think that we're now through all of the questions. Oh, here we go. No, just a little tip that the Zoom function that we talked about works with Teams. So accidentally zooming in on a meeting and wondering why you couldn't see some of the tips, it's a good thing to keep in mind as well. So that's brilliant. And I think that's all we've got questions wise now. So thank you all for joining. It's always good to have some engagement and some questions asked that hopefully we can help. That's our top 15 tips for Windows shortcuts to boost your productivity. Please let us know if you'd like any other topics spoken about, as we're looking to do some more of these. But other than that, we'll let you get on with your day. Thanks.